This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Detroit Sports Podcast listeners can save 20% off the first year of an annual subscription by visiting theathletic.com/DSP. That's theathletic.com/DSP to save 20% off the first year of an annual subscription to a great Detroit sports website.
Welcome to episode 18 of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Show. Got a jam-packed show for you today. Going to sit there and going to tell you about an indie star who rebuffed the WWE and said, I don't want to sign with you guys. Also, we've got our preview of the Elimination Chamber with some predictions there. We're going to look at SmackDown, and of course, we're going to review what was the best Raw of the year so far. And before we get into all that, I want to welcome my show co-host, the Doc, John Macaroon. What's going on, John?
Adam, can't wait to talk about wrestling this week. Wow. Raw, absolutely right. How did you experience that? I mean, literally, when you have a one match go 2 hours long, that gauntlet match was creative. It was great to see. You had a wrestler go for over an hour.
Told great stories.
Set up.
It was your great go-home show.
And what have we been clamoring for across these wrestling shows the past few weeks? Actual wrestling. And so what a great idea to have a gauntlet match to feature those that are going to be on the Elimination Chamber. I give it 2 thumbs way up. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait for it to show up on the network to watch it again.
Do you think that maybe Triple H locked Vince McMahon in a broom closet and said, hey, you're going to sit here, I'm going to go run the show, and this is why we got this? Because this was incredible. This was, I don't know, forever and a day now, we've just been calling and opining for, just give us good wrestling. Give us good wrestling, tell a story, make it work, just let's go with it. They've had this glut of guys. 7 guys are going to compete in a gauntlet match or are going to compete in the Elimination Chamber, and you're going to put them in a gauntlet match that's going to span over 2 hours. Your first 2 hours of Monday Night Raw, which usually your first hour is decent, your second hour sucks, and then you kind of wrap it up with the last, 15 minutes in your third hour. You're going to give us these 7 guys competing in one match. It was awesome. It told a great story. I thought the best part of this was Seth Rollins getting over. Seth Rollins went for over an hour and 5 minutes in the gauntlet match. He was the guy who sat there and was the Iron Man of this. On top of it, he sat there and gave John Cena an attitude adjustment, which I thought was great. I thought he sold well. He beat not just Cena, but he also beat Roman Reigns. And those are 2 of Vince's top guys.
I feel like Seth Rollins has to get back to the top. I mean, this is a dude that can wrestle. Obviously, when you have injuries, the knee injuries derail you for just a little bit of time. But you know that if you give him the ball, he'll go with it and he'll run with it. Seth Rollins going an hour and 5 minutes was awesome. I thought maybe potentially, if you're going to have him go the full 2 hours.
I thought so too.
Maybe you could stall it out or do something different, but maybe you don't have it go 2 hours, you have it go an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. That would have been something, but I guess if you want Braun Strowman to be the guy and you have him win the gauntlet match, I think he was the right guy. If it wasn't going to be Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, my goodness, I think he destroyed the Miz Taraj and then the Miz to win it all, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you're right. I think Seth Rollins was probably 1A, Braun Strowman maybe 1B. And I love the way that they built Seth Rollins up through this entire thing. Braun Strowman winning it, I think, was cool. It'd have been probably a little bit better to see Seth maybe win the whole thing, go the whole 2 hours, whatever he's got to do. I mean, the announcers sat there, they told a great story for Seth Rollins, and they were putting everybody over so big. I thought this was an awesome way to kick off Raw. If we can start doing more of this and less of what we've been doing for the last, 2-3 years, I'm all aboard.
Less promos, more wrestling,
yes.
More quality wrestling. That's what we like to see, because the reason why so many fans gravitated toward what we saw for the 2 hours was it was great wrestling among 7 dudes that really could carry the show. And that's what we wanted to see was, hey, feature the stars, kind of let the cruiserweights and the crumb bums stay off the show, and let's just feature the main eventers. And for 2 hours, it was great. But the problem was, then you go into having Asuka come out, and that segment just kind of started off the third hour, started off that 10 o'clock hour, and it was pretty weak to finish off the show.
It fizzled. I for some reason, it didn't connect this week. And I don't know if it was the way the promo was written or the way she delivered it. But you're right. It fell flat. It didn't really work. Nia Jax comes out, drops 3 leg drops to the back of her head, to her face. And I mean, I guess it helps set that match up because that's going to be taking place at the Elimination Chamber as well. But you're right. That kind of fell flat. And then you got battling promos between Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy again.
We've seen it before. Right. Thumbs down. Worst part of Raw for me.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's just more awkward promos that just we don't necessarily need this.
Exactly.
And then we wrap up Raw with a main event, which is a 6-way tag match with the women. You've got Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Mickie James versus Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, and Alexa Bliss. And these are the 6 women who will be competing in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. What did you make of this? I thought overall it was okay, but I thought it could have been better if you tweaked it a little bit, and I'll tell you about my tweak after I get your response.
100%. I was, after the 2-hour match, it just kind of took the energy away by what happened in that third hour. So for me, I was into it. I kind of watched the match, but I felt like exactly just what you said. It was okay. I probably would have done things differently as well. But in the end, it was a match. These women going into Elimination Chamber are trying to do their best to get over, and they're being featured. I don't think they're dropping the ball. It's just the best way to describe it is they're taking advantage of the time. It's just not enough to put them in the main event. You know what I mean? They're not main event worthy just yet.
It feels like something's missing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just too much all at once and you're just kind of throwing everything at the wall instead of presenting your best foot forward.
Yep.
It just something's missing. I think the way you could have tweaked this is you could have made it a 3-way tag match, right? So you end up pairing Sasha Banks and Mickie James together. You pair Alexa Bliss and Bayley together, and then you pair Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville together. And what you've got now is you've got Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, who they're going to work as a formidable tag team. It's fine. In the end, you want them to get the win anyways, so it's whatever. You have the storyline going with Mickie James and Alexa Bliss and how they're friends, but are they really friends? Is Mickie going to help Alexa? What's going on here? You've been building this up for the last couple weeks. So now you pair them against each other and you force them to fight and you kind of create this conflict there. And then you've got the building conflict of Sasha and Bayley. At some point, one of these two girls is going to turn on each other. So why not have them start to face off and have them face each other? I think what you end up doing is now you've got 2 tag teams with a lot of conflict that are facing off against each other, against the people who you want to win, the protagonist in all of this, in Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. So I think by separating it into 3 different tag teams, you can then build more story and you can build towards a match that people are going to want to see more at the Elimination Chamber.
I think one of the reasons why it hasn't hit in terms of all these matches is that in the last few weeks we've had a bunch of 3-on-3 matches, 4-on-4 matches, and so we've seen it so much that we're basically ready for something different.
We're numb to it.
Yeah, we're numb to it. We'd rather just have these. We'd rather have these ladies fight 1-on-1 and basically elevate it out. And basically, you could have built upon the Sasha Banks and Bayley matchup by having another one or having other matchups where you could feature other wrestlers versus Sasha Banks. You didn't need to do multiple women in the same matchup because we just saw a gauntlet match. You just wanted to close the show out with a bang, and I felt like they fell just a little bit short.
So now where Raw's first 2 hours was incredible, their last hour kind of waned a little bit. SmackDown, I think, fell into that last hour of Raw where it just kind of waned. It didn't feel like it hit the mark at all.
What's going on with SmackDown Creative? Exactly. You opened the show with an AJ Styles interview, and it just didn't do well. I mean, literally, all you got to do is you cut out the first 10 minutes and you say, here's our main event. Mm-hmm. You use that opening segment to set up the main event. It's been done. It's tired. Why is Creative on SmackDown taking a step back? I don't get it, because you would have thought with that roster, with what they got on SmackDown, why is it that the writing staff is so porous and not that well, and it's really hurting the run that AJ Styles is having to have him come out there and have these promos and discussions that aren't that great? They're not hitting, and the only thing you keep thinking about when you watch it is, this is formulaic. We've seen this. This is like prototypical cut and paste, booking and writing, and nobody wants to see it. It's not hitting. It's not hitting.
You're absolutely right.
And it sets the stage for a bad show.
You don't get off to a good start, and then what happens is that carries you in to your first half hour, and then you're never able to fully recover from that first half hour because now you're going into hour 2 and you're still trying to pick up the pieces from that first half hour, and it just derails the entire show. And that's what happened here. You end up getting Sami Zayn comes out and distracts Dolph Ziggler. This is the first match of the night, and this is set up by, again, you have an authority figure who's got to be front and center. I mean, if you look at what Raw did great, no authority figure to start the show. You just wrestled. You just wrestled and you told a story. Instead, you now have an authority figure coming out and sitting there continuing this gripe with Kevin Owens. So Dolph Ziggler comes out to have an okay match with Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn comes out to distract Dolph Ziggler. And this kind of sets up, I guess, what is now going to take place, where we're going to have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reuniting. When I was watching this, I'm like, okay, cool. So are we going to have a swerve where the two of them are going to reconnect? How is this story going to be told? And yeah, this is the thread that binds the entire show throughout the 2 hours. But do we really need 2 hours to tell this story? We don't. We really don't. And it just kind of feels like it's just background noise. It's just background noise for storytelling. It wasn't very good. And then we get this announcement that Bobby Roode's going to be I don't know. At this point, I'm waiting for the announcement for Bobby Roode for it to be announced that he's going to be defending his U.S. championship in a triple threat match at Fastlane, because that's the way we're going, right? You keep having these promos and you keep having this jockeying for position with Bobby Roode and Randy Orton, and then Jinder Mahal inserts himself into it, and the three of them are just kind of going back, and no match has really taken place. It's just kind of become a pissing contest.
I did like that Bobby Roode got over on Randy Orton this week. It's good.
Yeah, that was good. But then Jinder crushed him with the Colossus.
Right.
So it just, at some point, you can see where all of this is going, right? And the problem I have with it is it's just going to take forever for us to get there.
The payoff, right.
Because Fastlane is
March 11th.
At least, another month away?
3 weeks away, yeah.
So we've got to wait this long for the payoff? And these are just storylines that are just
dragging.
Yeah.
And so
it's tired.
Yeah,
I'm over it.
And so in news ahead, I think that part of the reason why a change is likely to happen in terms of the events, and you'll talk about it in news and notes, I think that's part of the reason why, is that when you got 3 weeks to develop these storylines, you got to hit it faster. It's unfortunate.
It's more than 3 weeks. It's like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And these are things that you could just kind of get squashed and settled.
On SmackDown.
Yeah.
Pay it off on SmackDown.
I mean, this is why nobody wants to buy the pay-per-views, because these are SmackDown matches that we could see. There's no build, nothing that's awesome here.
One of the highlights of SmackDown was Ruby Riott. I felt like she's emerging. She's doing her thing. Give her an opportunity, and she's showing that she can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Becky Lynch and Charlotte. I felt like she belonged. I felt like she had a presence in the matchup. Although it was another women's match with several wrestlers in it, I like this one on SmackDown better than I did on Raw.
I did too. And you're absolutely right. You're seeing the emergence of what will become a star in Ruby Riott. I feel like she is being, I don't necessarily know if held back is the proper word here. Maybe it's just the juxtaposition, because she is so far ahead of Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan that it blows my mind that she is this far already. I feel like she is going to be competing with that upper echelon of women very, very soon. At some point, they've got to break her away from these other two, because I don't know if they're holding her back, but she just doesn't fit. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, which one of these is not like the other? And it's Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott is not like those other two. She can cut great promos. Her in-ring work is awesome. Her psychology is good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when she was leaving the ring, she's sitting there and she's pointing to Charlotte and she's showing like one finger and then she's showing two. Like, I got you twice. I got you twice. And you could just see it. She is the complete package. She's the complete package, and I will be happy when they sit there and they start featuring her more and the other two less.
What'd you make of the main event of this week's SmackDown?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. Look, it's an AJ Styles match, right? So you know it's going to be decent. AJ Styles did a really good job. I thought the highlight of the match, Baron Corbin on the outside throws AJ Styles over the announce table, and AJ Styles does this like somersault roll and lands on his feet, and then he sits there and he jumps over the table and jumps back up to the ring apron and then does a phenomenal forearm. Like, it was just the way it all kind of played out. It was like, wow, he is an incredible athlete and he is awesome at everything he does. I thought it was an okay match. At some point, I'm thinking next week we're probably going to get a tag match between Baron Corbin, AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, because Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out and they attack AJ. AJ's then saved by Baron. So it's just more of what we don't want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Again, Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. That's what we're getting. SmackDown is boring at this point. It's hard for me to watch it, and it's painful.
It is. Many people are saying that, and they're looking critically at SmackDown, saying with that roster, with what's going on, the show shouldn't come off that way, especially when you got 2 hours. It should be nonstop action. It should be storytelling. It should be a lot more in terms of what we're getting, and we're not getting it. And so, obviously, I do believe that you and I are on the same page, and that SmackDown did not come anywhere close to the level of Monday Night Raw this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Raw wins this week. They take a commanding lead, 14.5 to 11.5 at this point in our which show is better, the verdict segment.
All right, what's your excitement level for the Elimination Chamber?
Mild.
Yeah.
Mild. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see what happens in those matches, but everything surrounding those matches, I don't really care about. And at this point, we really have an incomplete card. So kind of what we're going to go off of here for our prediction segment, I'm assuming there's going to be a Titus Worldwide versus the Bar match because they ended up getting a win on Raw. I think there's a Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt match as well. I mean, I feel like WWE hasn't done a very good job setting this card up yet.
Right.
So at the time that we're recording this, we're trying to fill some things in here, I think. Yeah. And we're going to go with it.
Exactly.
So
why not?
For our predictions, and mind you, this is one card where I don't have a real good gauge on what's going on.
Yeah, it could go a lot of different ways. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I wouldn't be surprised if you end up taking the lead and you blow me out of the waters this pay-per-view, because I don't have a pulse on anything.
Right.
And I don't know why. I just don't. It's weird, this one. This one is just very, very weird to me. All right, so we'll start this off with Titus Worldwide versus The Bar. I'm assuming this will probably be a pre-show or the kickoff show where this match will be featured. I have no idea. I don't even know if it's going to make the card, but I feel like it's going to be on it. So we're going to go with it. Who do you got?
The Bar. I mean, it's good that you had Titus Worldwide. You get him over a little bit on Monday Night Raw, but at the same time, you look at it and you say, Titus Worldwide is not ready yet to take the next step to win a title belt. The Bar is the team. They have to go into WrestleMania with the belts, that entrance, that swagger. Sheamus and Cesaro have had a really solid year. They are the preeminent tag team on Monday Night Raw. The whole package. And that's what happens when you have continuity, when you have a tag team like The Bar that's doing some great things, similar to what the Bludgeon Brothers are doing over there on SmackDown. When they're on, you want to see it. The Bludgeon Brothers have...
That's something we didn't talk about during the SmackDown segment.
But
their tag
the highlight,
division is awesome.
It's very awesome. But in this matchup, if it happens, if it goes down, give me The Bar, baby.
I'm right there with you. It's The Bar. I don't know how you can put titles on Apollo or Titus. I don't understand it. I don't know what you do there. So I'm going to go with The Bar as well.
Or if The Bar faces anybody else, I have them winning.
Yeah.
Anybody, against anybody.
I can see that. Woken Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. I've got no clue. Coin flip here, bro.
Coin flip. I mean, it's one of those things where it's tough because in this rivalry, both guys need a win. I mean, how do you have broken Matt Hardy lose this matchup in a pay-per-view? Because it's a major gimmick. They want to kind of pop it off. It's just like, it's a really weird situation with the Woken Matt Hardy character because it's not a jobber. It's entertaining. He's got some time.
It's like he's better than a mid-card guy,
right,
but not quite a main eventer.
Not over yet.
Right.
It's like in the middle of just being out there, not over. But
it's the same thing with Bray Wyatt, right?
Right. And so Bray Wyatt can't lose.
It's like the same guy wrestling the same guy.
Right. So you know what?
And they both need a win.
Okay, so I'm going to take something here. I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt winning, but I'm going to try and get a half an extra point if it's a no contest. Double DQ, double count out, where there is no finish. This is probably a matchup where, if you think about it logically, you could have a realistic no finish. No contest. So I'll take that as a side thing. I do think there's going to be probably A+ option will be a winner, Bray Wyatt. But if not, I'll try and say that maybe there is an opportunity for a no contest, brawling in the stands and just ending the matchup if it's a time crunch situation.
It's funny that you say that because I was going to say the thing I could see here is they end up brawling into the arena and it's just a double DQ.
Doesn't it make sense going forward that maybe at WrestleMania you just have Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt as a tandem, something.
Yeah.
It's like, let's move this along.
I could see them as a tag team. I think it would be great.
Or a faction.
Yeah.
Add some more. Add one of those two, a couple other freaks maybe in NXT. Bring them down and have a faction when Jeff Hardy returns.
All right, so I'm gonna just be different. I'm gonna say Matt Hardy wins this. You got Asuka versus Nia Jax. If Nia Jax wins WrestleMania 34, her challenge for the belt then becomes a triple threat match. So who you got winning this? They apparently love their triple threats. So if Nia wins, no shocker. But do you take the undefeated streak away from Asuka, who's never lost a match?
Nope.
In her WWE career?
Give me Asuka. I think that you have to feature Asuka. You can't put her in a match with two other women. I think that maybe someone's going to cost her. Maybe someone will interfere in that matchup to cost Nia Jax the victory so that she can kick off another feud. But it has to be Asuka.
Yeah, I think Asuka wins this. I don't see how you take this away from Asuka right now. It doesn't make sense to me for you to do that. I think Asuka wins. I could see Nia Jax then interfering in the WrestleMania match.
Yes.
And
maybe costing Asuka for the first loss. Yep.
Exactly.
Not clean.
Exactly. So I could see that happening and playing out. All right, so here's a bonus. We're going to get a half a point for this if whatever we predict does happen. Now, there's going to be a signing with Ronda Rousey. She's going to go there. She's going to sign her WWE contract. This was done to help sell more seats because they're having a hard time selling out the actual arena for the Elimination Chamber. I want to know what you think is going to happen when she goes to sign it. Is she just going to sign it and nothing happens? Somebody going to come out and challenge her? Is there going to be a fight? Is there going to be a brawl? Is somebody going to come out and just, I don't know, is she going to point angrily at the WrestleMania sign again? What do you see happening here?
I see a scenario in which, if it's true, if the likelihood that if her first match is WrestleMania, I think Charlotte comes out. I think Charlotte comes out.
Stealing my thunder, bro.
Oh, it's smart because we know what's going on. I think Charlotte comes out and calls her out and says, "Look, you're just somebody here that's going to use your celebrity. I'm the queen. I've paved the way for the women. You're not going to come here." And I do believe you're not going to see a wrestling move. You're going to see a slap. I think a slap is something you can time easily. You can practice that. And I do believe Ronda Rousey will slap Charlotte, and Charlotte maybe will perform a wrestling move on Ronda Rousey. But that will be it in terms of offensive execution for Rousey. I think Charlotte gets over on Rousey as my prediction.
Ooh, okay. So similar, but different. I think Charlotte comes out and challenges Rousey, and Rousey in the end is the one who looks strong. I think the way this will end is it'll probably end up with a little bit of a dust up, like some fisticuffs. They'll start kind of going back and forth, throwing punches at each other. In the end, Rousey stands tall in the ring while Charlotte's on the outside looking at her, and then at some point they both, or one of them, points at the stupid sign. I don't know. I'm so over the pointing at the stupid sign.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So you have Charlotte slapping. So you have a slap from Charlotte.
No, I have Ronda Rousey slapping Charlotte.
Oh, Ronda Rousey. Okay,
and then Charlotte gets over.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, let me put that down real quick. So Rousey slap.
Yeah, now real quickly, do you believe of the men's elimination chamber and the women? I kind of got a feeling that the women are going to deliver. I feel like when you have something new for the first time, you got a lot of quality wrestlers in the matchup. I think Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, Mickie James. I think you have an opportunity for a classic matchup. I think that the women's elimination chamber match is going to probably outshine the men because I think the men is predictable. You know what's going to happen. With the men, I'll keep it simple. I think it's Roman Reigns.
Absolutely.
I don't see a scenario in which someone else does it. You want to set up other matchups. You want to set up the scenario in which is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. We all know it. We all see it. I don't see the scenario in which someone else wins it. The surprise, though, if it is a surprise, it could be The Miz because there are some inklings, some rumors that it could be The Miz versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But I don't think he's at just yet at the level where he can main event with Brock Lesnar. Women, I just go with Alexa Bliss. I think she's the champ. I think you've played it up where she's upset that she's in the matchup. I don't see anybody better than her. I mean, if it's not Alexa Bliss, maybe you let it be Sonya Deville because you want to keep elevating the group absolution. But I think that it's going to be Alexa Bliss. Maybe Sasha Banks if she can continue to get over and maybe, do some things to get herself back to title contention. But I do believe at the end of the day, Alexa Bliss takes it down.
I think Roman Reigns wins the men. You're absolutely right. It's going to be Roman Reigns because they're building to this Roman Reigns.
That's what you got to do, yeah.
Brock Lesnar thing. They need their coronation from Roman Reigns. That's what it's going to be. You said maybe The Miz is your second choice there. I would say Braun Strowman is my second choice. If there's anybody, it's just because they booked him so strong, and he looks like the undefeatable animal at this point.
I would say if you're pinched for time, just wait for the men's elimination chamber because it could get violent.
Yeah.
It could be the most entertaining part of the night. While I think the women's elimination chamber will have a lot more action, will have a lot more swerves and surprises and things to keep people entertained throughout the whole match, I think the men could get real violent. It could be one of those maybe 3 to 4 oh my god moments.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see some color on this pay-per-view.
Yes.
As far as the women go, I'm right there with you. I don't see how you take the strap off of Alexa Bliss in this. And what I see happening is I see Bayley and Sasha, I see them breaking down to have their own feud in this, like somewhere in the ring and in the cage. I'm not sure where. I think Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, if you're one of those two were to win it, I think it'd be Mandy Rose because that's more his type of girl. Do you know what I'm saying? The blonde bombshell with the great body and who's athletic. You know what I'm saying? So I could see Mandy Rose if there was going to be one of those two to win it, but I think it's too young for them. Right? I think
Too
they're
early, yep.
Yeah, I think
early.
in their development, I think they're too young right now. Mickie James, I don't know what the hell's going on with this Mickie James Alexa Bliss thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm expecting some type of a swerve here. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm expecting something. Maybe Mickie James ends up being the heater for Alexa Bliss. Maybe that's her muscle, and maybe that's how Alexa retains. But I don't see how you take the belt off of Alexa Bliss. I think going to WrestleMania, we have Alexa Bliss versus Asuka, and I think Alexa Bliss, maybe if she doesn't lose to Asuka, I think it's because Nia Jax interferes, like we've already discussed. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think for the Elimination Chambers, I'm right there with you on both of those.
All right, hit me with the news and notes for the week.
All right, so news and notes. So WWE has confirmed that after WrestleMania 34, we are going to go back to co-branded pay-per-views that air once a month.
AJ Styles every pay-per-view?
Every pay-per-view.
Yes.
So what that means is we'll be losing 4 pay-per-views.
Oh, they're cutting them out.
Yes. So
Which ones?
We're getting rid of Great Balls of Fire,
Yeah.
Battleground,
Yep.
Payback, and No Mercy.
Yeah.
So those are gone. So
and
you'll
that
go
makes
back
sense.
to one pay-per-view every month, and you'll have your Raw and your SmackDown compatriots
Yes.
there. And like you said earlier, it's because, look, low numbers, so this is a way to get your best guys on the show. It should ramp up the competition for the guys to want
More
to be
viewership,
on the
yes.
pay-per-views.
Yes.
Also, it'll put an end to these long-ass storylines.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens now for 6 weeks going against AJ Styles. I'm over it. I'm
We're over
done. I don't want to see it no more.
Makes a lot of sense. And that way we can have, also too, you could also interject a little bit of some inter-brand feuds.
Yes.
It doesn't have to just be formulaic where it's just a couple SmackDown matches, couple Raw matches, maybe just a little bit of a overriding feud where a couple dudes that are not being utilized on SmackDown can fight on. Maybe like
It
similar.
could be your pre-shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a way to get guys on.
Exactly.
And I'm cool with that. The only issue I might have with this is there's some conversation that instead of them being 4-hour pay-per-views, they become 5-hour pay-per-views.
No, hell no, bro. Forget that.
There are
Two-parters.
There are talks
forget
about
it.
that.
Forget that.
So that's the one thing that's a little bit of an issue. So I don't know if you noticed or not, but Apollo Crews has changed his name. He is now going by Apollo. They dropped the Crews due to Nicholas Cruz, the Florida high school shooter, having a similar sounding name. It was spelled different, but it's similar sounding. Vince said that he wanted it switched so he never had to hear that name on television again. So that was a Vince move there to drop the Crews from Apollo Crews.
See, I think it's one of those situations where nobody ties. I mean, one thing, Apollo's black.
Right.
So I don't think of the shooter. I think of that's Apollo Crews. He's been in wrestling, but I guess if you want to cut it down, but
Vince is
Apollo
weird, dude.
and Titus.
Yeah.
Apollo and Titus.
That's right.
I guess if you would have did it, I think you don't need the Titus O'Neil because it sounds kind of corny.
TNA, bro.
Yeah.
That's what their new tag team should be. TNA.
Yes.
All right. So WWE is putting the full court press on Rob Gronkowski to join WWE. So Gronk has discussed possibly retiring at the end of this past season. So he's not sure what he's going to do. You've seen Gronk at last year's WrestleMania when he interfered for who was it?
Jinder Mahal.
Was it? Yes, him and Jinder got into it for Mojo Rawley.
Yes.
So you could maybe see Gronk joining WWE. Now remember, Gronk would probably be a perfect fit. The guy is charismatic. He likes to talk. He's a fun guy. He's a wrestler. They like that type of build. And the guy's entertaining as all hell. Like, I'd love to have a beer with Rob Gronkowski. I don't know if I could go to the club with Gronk because I'd end up just being a hot mess by midnight.
See, I feel like he needs to be just in a one-off, similar to Conor McGregor, because if dude has concussions, how are you going to wrestle
I don't know.
300 days a year?
That's my question, because that guy has had a lot of head trauma.
Right.
So I'm not sure. All right, so we previewed it when we opened the show. There's a hot indie star who has rebuffed the WWE. And that indie star is Will Ospreay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Will Ospreay or not, but you can go find some of his awesome matches on YouTube. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet is a match where they did so much. Like, I don't know if it told a great story, but athleticism, it was out of this world. These guys were bouncing everywhere in the ring. Anyways, he goes on to Chris Jericho's podcast, and Jericho and him are talking, and Will Ospreay lets it be known that just recently WWE contacted him. They wanted to sign him to a contract. He was offered a contract, and he turned it down. And basically, he turned it down because they travel. They travel so much. They travel like 300 days out of the year, maybe more. And he cited them having to sit there and work on Christmas. He said, look, Christmas is a time for me. It's time for me to be with my family. I love my family. He's like, I don't do well with traveling a lot. And he's like, those guys are on the road way too much. You're going to be on the road for Christmas and New Year. He's like, I can't do that. So he said no. So that's kind of a big deal because Will Ospreay is a big name on the indie scene.
See, the WWE is a machine, and unfortunately, it's a traveling circus, so they don't close. And Vince McMahon is of the opinion that you are a business and you got to work. So he doesn't care about those that say, look, take a reduced schedule, because unfortunately, how Vince views it is, look, you work, but when you work those extra dates, you are compensated with money. And so if you're in the business to make money, the extra shows get you extra appearance fees, extra house gates, extra chances to sell T-shirts. So Vince is not in the business of caring about that kind of stuff.
You end up on whatever the DVD may be for that appearance.
Yep.
And that's extra royalties for you. That's why it's one of the reasons why Neville was so pissed off, because he didn't make it to the WrestleMania 33 DVD, and he ended up losing out on a lot of money.
Now, before we get out of here, I want to get your sense of a wrestler that was announced to have been announced to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Let that sink in. If you don't know who it is, Jeff Jarrett, baby. They announced it. Kind of surprising in that this is the founder of TNA. A lot of people were like, huh? Jeff Jarrett? Some people were questioning the validity, or really, why is Jeff Jarrett announced to the Hall of Fame right now?
Well, so a couple things. And it is weird because Jeff Jarrett and Vince McMahon have a tumultuous relationship. There is a story going around where right before one pay-per-view, Jeff Jarrett held Vince up for a six-figure contract, only to sit there and go on to WCW to become the world champion. It's a really weird, murky story those two have. And if you remember when Vince bought WCW, he took great pleasure in firing Jeff Jarrett live on air.
Right.
So a very tumultuous relationship there. I know Jeff Jarrett has been in contact with WWE. He's taken use of their wellness policy. He's been battling some alcohol addiction. So they put him in a program.
Oh, there you go.
They've got him sober.
It also seems like a Triple H kind of thing where dude doesn't care about the past, doesn't care that Jeff Jarrett started a competing organization. He's like, look, if you've done something for the WWE or WWF, then we welcome you back. But I like the class. It's a strong class. Dudley boys. You have really. I'm fascinated by the entire lineup of those.
Ivory. Bill Goldberg. He's the head
and
star
Jeff
right
Jarrett?
now. Now Jeff Jarrett.
I like it.
So you're right. It is a strong class.
I do
find it weird though that Jeff Jarrett gets invited, just because his WWE run
doesn't smell Hall of Famer to me.
No,
just yet.
It's not strong.
But do you think he'll come? Does this open the door for him? Do you think he's got a run in him? Should he have a run in WWE one last time? I mean, dude's probably in his late 40s, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing. This is the one thing I will say about Jeff Jarrett. His WCW runs, awesome. Right? If you want to count that as what WWE has, then yes, okay. Because WCW, he was a good champion. He was a good wrestler. He did a very good job in WCW. In TNA, I give him a lot of credit because
for trying it, right.
Early TNA was good. Him bringing in Vince Russo to do TNA, very bad.
Poop, yeah.
Him coming back to do TNA when Impact bought it, it started off very good. It ended up fizzling out very quickly, and it was a hot mess. If you're kind of seeing what I'm saying here, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad with Jeff Jarrett.
Polarizing.
Yes.
All right.
Very
good podcast, sir. Look forward to watching Elimination Chamber and coming in next week and recapping it. Always enjoy the wrestling talk. Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Another great show.
Thank you for supporting us. If you want to support us the free and easy way, visit our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.